when I go and I host different booths at different events, we put out all of our wares on the table, and people who walk by, they have no idea we have this program available for them. And the minute I tell them, do you have difficulty hearing, or I gesture ear problem, it's amazing how many people's faces light up and they come running over to try to test some of the different things we have to see which one they like, which works for them. It takes a brave soul to come up to the table sometimes, but I've seen a lot of young people actually who started to come up to our table to ask, I've got a hearing problem and I can't tell anybody about it. So they're embarrassed or whatever. I tell them, no reason to be embarrassed if you've lost your hearing or you can't hear as well. We have devices that can help you with that. Remember that hear all that I showed you, that rectangular thing that you can put in your pocket and it connects Bluetooth to your phone? A lot of the young consumers that we're seeing nowadays like that, and especially the fact that it's free distribution, I don't have to pay for it. They love that part. What other questions do you have? Did you think of anybody in your lives who might benefit from something like this? Good. Yeah, maybe you got a neighbor, a family member, friend. Sure. Keep us in mind. CaliforniaPhones.org. Anything else? Nope. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank Bob. Now for this part. How's everyone doing? You're not exhausted yet by post-midterm blues, and we're getting into like the last 3 weeks of class. Can you believe it? I know it's going to be over very, very quickly. Questions so far? Comments? Anything else that you need help with? Are we doing okay with submitting your interpretations? I know they're getting harder. And remember, you always have the option to prep them. They're always there in Go React in the instructions, and you can watch the video as many times as you want. Get comfortable with whatever it is you're interpreting. Practice parts of it before you actually hit live record. If, by the way, you're recognizing that I'm giving feedback that says something about it seems like you're freezing or whatever, you may want to, watch the instructions and practice and then set up your phone or something and record that way with the instruction video. That way, your phone is going to be recording directly there and not relying on Wi-Fi. At the end, you'll probably take a little bit longer in transferring it from the phone to Go React, but you know that the video you made on the phone is going to be pretty good quality, better than the webcam. So just keep that in mind if you're having issues with bad Wi-Fi at home or if it's just freezing. You can always come to Rio and upload stuff too if you need to use the Rio Wi-Fi. Yeah, Melissa.
Professor, I had a question. When we're translating from ASL to English, is it okay to hold a script in front of us, or would you rather us not?
Remember, I'm seeing you as if you're the interpreter. So if I see the script, you're not necessarily interpreting. But if you have a script and you're being a good speaker and occasionally looking around, how do I know you have a script? Right? Um, I've had people put post-it notes with just basic ideas and objectives. Oh, I have to remember to say this, or don't forget this number or this finger-spelled name, and they put it on the wall behind where their camera's at. I've had people with friends who've written it out on paper and held it up behind the camera so that it looks like they're paying attention. Ultimately, your goal is you want to do the process that works for you. If you're doing this, you're probably not interpreting. It doesn't look like you're interpreting. If you can kind of cheat it, so you're holding the paper a little bit lower and occasionally glancing, no one's ever going to know, right? So, yeah, make it look like you're the actual interpreter, make it look as professional as possible without making me think that you're doing your own version of ChatGPT. What other questions do you have? Nothing? What else? No, you remuted yourself. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. My internet's very slow today. I don't know why. The access codes, are we gonna, well, for the next class? Or do we just register?
Try to register.
Okay.
If you're having pushback, we'll have to contact my dean because I keep checking and the roster does not give me ad codes. So if they don't give me ad codes, I'm gonna have to bug somebody in the registrars or at the dean level to say, these students are doing great. They just need to go on to the next class. And don't worry,
Right.
Christian, I haven't forgotten your situation. I gotta still fight about that. But thank you for reminding me. Put it back on my plate. It's been a very, very busy 2 weeks lately. Um,
So just go ahead and register. Try to
if,
register for
if
the.
you can register, go ahead. If it says
Okay.
you need like professor authorization, you may probably want to try to talk to your academic advisor.
Okay.
I don't know if they're backed up with appointments, but it doesn't hurt to ask them and let them know, hey, these two classes are in a series, but there's one day in between them. So how do we make sure that we get our grades submitted and everything? So like the teacher says it's fine for me to go on and you can contact them.
Right.
Here's his email address, give them my email address, and I will vouch for you. That's fine. I
Okay.
don't think there's anybody in
Awesome.
class yet who shouldn't go on. Maybe one person. But other than that, everyone else should be going on. Okay. This week, you were supposed to have looked at two chapters, chapter 6 and chapter 2. Chapter 6 was oppression, power, and interpreters. Do you think as interpreters we have power? We do. I mean, if we go into that room to interpret, we're the only ones who know English. We're the only ones who know sign language. Everything has to funnel through us, kind of like that communication assistant that Oscar was talking about. We know everything that's well, we're supposed to know everything that's going on. And that means that we not only have that power, but we're kind of held up to a higher standard. We have a level of trust that we don't want to break. And I will tell you now, interpreters out there have broken that trust a lot. You will probably end up breaking that trust with the hearing person, with the deaf person, with your teammate, the other interpreter, with the interpreting agency. Things will happen. It's part of the learning process. I hope that when you do make that mistake or foot in the mouth or something goes wrong and shit hits the fan, that you're able to at least confess that you did it, apologize, try to do better the next time, and that it doesn't become a pattern. Because making a mistake once is part of learning, it's part of getting to be a better interpreter. But making that same mistake over and over again, that means you're kind of unteachable. And hopefully you're not unteachable. Hopefully you're not stubborn enough to keep thinking, I will stay the same, the world will change around me. Though we do know friends and family who are like that, don't we? Most of the time it's teenagers, or most of the time it was us as teenagers. But we understand what that's like. Why isn't it going my way? Why don't you just sign the way I want you to sign? Why don't you say those words on the paper you said you would say? You went off script. You went off script. And then it comes out of us and we just yell and we explode. Okay, maybe not the most professional thing, but it happens. So when it does happen, try to be a little bit more gentle with yourself. Oh, I made that mistake. I'll try not to do that again. Maybe you, since we're talking about oppression, power, and interpreters, maybe you start speaking and there's a deaf person there and you don't realize they were deaf. So they look at you thinking, you're not signing, you're oppressing me. You're taking advantage that you can hear. You have that hearing privilege that I don't have. Well, it could have been somebody said, where's the bathroom? Or what's the time? It wasn't the end of the world, and it certainly wasn't about the deaf person, but putting ourselves in their shoes, are there lots of occasions where people talk around the deaf person or right in front of them and it's about them and they have no clue what's happening? Yeah. Their entire lives are like that. So for them to see us we're supposed to be that bridge, we're supposed to be their ally, and now we're doing this, but it's not visible, you can see how that might hurt. It's just like when you go ahead, Melissa.
In the book, I remember they give an example how interpreters they go for a job interview and they end up taking the job from the deaf client. I was shocked by that when I read that. I was really shocked about that. Like you're supposed to interpret, but you're taking the position that they were going. You were supposed to interpret, and yeah, I just found that just horrible. That was just yeah. But I
It's a
guess it
big
happens.
thing. The big
Yeah.
thing in our field, especially out here, because we have Hollywood. So imagine you're interpreting for a deaf person auditioning, and then everybody who's the casting members or people with that production, they see you. Oh, you've interpreted for that deaf person, for that deaf person, for that. Would you mind, interpreter? Would you mind reading the lines too? Okay. And they like you because they're used to you being in the room. You had a chance to audition 7 times for 7 deaf people. So they got to see you do it 7 different ways. They realize, wow, I won't have to hire an interpreter. I can speak to you. You can be deaf. That's the way they're thinking. It's totally from a money perspective. And you, as the interpreter, you're offered it. What's your first response? Oh, I'm going to be in a movie. I'm going to be in a TV show. Sure, why not? That's why I moved out to California. That's why I've always wanted to make it big without realizing there were 7 deaf people who have been trying to get jobs in the industry for how long? And just because you happen to be the interpreter, you got it that fast. You don't see that because, again, inside our own little bubbles, it's about us and they like me. They really like me. And oh, I'm such a good interpreter. Like my signing. No, they like that they don't have to hire an interpreter for you. They like that they can speak to you. They like that you have the experience of being deaf without being deaf. So in effect, you're kind of the imposter putting that on. So that does happen a lot. Yeah. So that's the first one. Oppression, power, interpreters. There will be a lot of stuff you will do or say or email or even facial expressions where they'll somehow insult a deaf person. They will feel offended by something. Hearing people, you'll say something or not say something or look a different way or show up on time or show up late. You will insult them. So just be aware, you as the interpreter, you have lots of power. You have lots of ways to oppress. Hopefully, we're not doing it actively, but there's a lot of things we can do accidentally. And those are the ones we have to watch out for. And when we get called out on it, instead of responding defensively, we really should figure out, why did I do that? Why, if are they saying something that's valid? Did I steal that job from the deaf person? Ooh, I did. So what do you do about it then? How do you fix it? That becomes the next part. I'm not going to give you the answer to that one yet. The second part we were supposed to look at was influence of culture on communication. I think it's pretty obvious. Whatever culture you come from is going to influence the way you communicate. True. And if you're a male or a female, you have different influences too. If you have a male figure at home, a female figure at home, if you have 2 moms or 2 dads, if you have grandparents, aunts, if you have people who are just your wards and they're watching you and there's some sort of guardians, we all get something from culture. And that makes us speak the way we speak. It makes us interpret the way we interpret. So even your deaf teachers that you've had have given you kind of an accent. Just be aware. Not an accent here, an accent there. Um, and certain cultures will prioritize specific beliefs over others. And I'm talking more of African American, Asian American, Native American, um, Hispanic, Latino, whatever you choose to call it, Chicano, Chicanx. There's all these different backgrounds. So we take those, and then we take the gender, and then we take, oh, is it more Christian? Is it more Protestant? Is it more Mormon? Is it whatever? That is also going to affect communication and how we think of what's normal to communicate. And we come to the field of interpreting and we think, oh, we'll do what we do at home. But we don't take into account, what's the deaf person's background? Where are they coming from? What's the hearing people's background? Where are they coming from? Not saying you have to do this like really, really long assessment and have all this homework and research, but it should be something at the top of your head that you can start to assess as you go into a job or even before you get it. Oh, you're interpreting for Vladimir. Okay, you see that deaf person named Vladimir. Interesting. Your first thought probably is not going to be female. It's not going to be, are they black? Is it going to be, are they Mormon? Probably not. It's going to be, I think they might be Russian, right? And male, probably. We don't know, but go based on kind of ballpark guesses, and that's going to help you get navigate your way through specific jobs. What else do you want to add? Anything? We are almost done with class. This week, you got stuff to turn in. I'm going to be a little bit behind because I'm going to be out of town. I'll be flying out of town and won't be back till Sunday. So if you need extra time for things like the test number 3, do take it. Take it as many times as you want. Get better, get better. Be happy with what you submit. Same thing for your interpreting assignments. If you need time for those, I totally get it. Take the time that you need. Um, and then, yeah, next week is our last week. As far as the final is concerned, it's really just cumulative for the test itself. So it's just going to randomly pick questions from each of the chapters. And then the video portion that you'll do, it's going to be not rough. We'll call it warm. It'll be warm material. So the different submissions, the interpreting submissions you've been doing, let's say it's one of those. Okay? Questions, comments? Any screams
For
of pain?
for the grading of the midterm and the final, I know that in Canvas it has 6 points for the video portion, and then it doesn't say anything for the multiple choice for both of them. So are they both worth together? Are they worth 6, or is it
No,
worth
6
6
each.
each? Okay,
6
got
each.
it.
So total of
Okay.
12. Yeah.
Got it. Just because Canvas it only has like little lines or it's blank or something. So okay, cool.
The website I use, Class Marker, for the testing, when it tells me the results, I have to go in and then I have to take that number of percentage that you get, multiply it by 6, and then put that number into Canvas. It's not
Mm,
automatic, unfortunately. So that's why it's delayed.
got it. Okay.
Mea culpa, lo siento.
Está bien.
But yes, I will be getting that moved over. I will be done and probably less stressed Saturday evening. I have to present in another state, 2 workshops. First one's done. Second one I'm still working on. So I've got between now and tomorrow before I fly to get it ready for Saturday morning. Ah, apologies for that. You'll get caught up though. And you know how you did on the midterm. Did it not tell you? It should have told you a percentage of what you got. Okay. Anything else? See you next week if you decide to show up. Take care.